Thank you, guys. Wow, it is nice to see everybody in person. Where have you been? I loved Ed Palooza, but it doesn't cut it compared to this. It's so grateful that you all are here in Orlando. 14 years ago, we started the summit in Orlando, and it's nice to be back. Chris Sprouse is a typical Florida leader. Normally governors, I know that Governor Hutchinson is here, normally governors are the ones that shamelessly promote their state. But in Florida, we're so proud of what we do, speakers shamelessly promote the state as well. And I think there are two ingredients for a state's success over the long haul in education reform. The first is to focus on policies that are student-centered, not focused on the economic interest of the adults in the system. And the second is dogged determination. Ed policy can't be a check-the-box exercise when it gets attention in one legislative session and then you just move on to the next policy food group. A lot of places do that, and while the success can exist, it normally diminishes over time. You see, I believe that success is never final. Reform must be ongoing. The attitude must be that one successful bill becoming law creates the chance to successfully implement that law, which creates the chance to build on that success by passing new laws, which gives the executive more chances to implement those laws faithfully and successfully. And on it should go. Success is never final. Reform is never complete. Florida is just one state that has embraced this model. Indiana, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arizona have all done so, and now many other states are embracing this idea and are starting the journey. And I hope they live by the mantra that success is never final, reform is never complete. And never has it been more important than now. Man, oh man, it's been a pretty tough 2 years, don't you think? It's been tough on families and parents having to confront the fear of the unknown, job losses, job uncertainty, school closures, endless Zoom calls with kids at home, typically in the background. I don't know about you, but we've had some amazing Zoom calls in my business that I won't want to repeat. Returning to work while schools remain partially or fully closed. As a matter of fact, Gallup did a study that Americans experienced more stress last year than any country surveyed, and working moms were the ones that were the most stressed. Across the country, many school districts in partnership with teacher unions resisted opening up their schools for a full year, and millions of students disappeared from their sites. Millions. One of the most glaring examples was the Fairfax County Public Schools. In part, it's because it's one of the wealthiest school districts in the country. First, the system failed to provide an online distance learning option. The whole system crashed when they tried to do it. They tried to open it up again and it crashed, and again it crashed. And then the district told parents not to create pods, to stop hiring tutors, worrying that it may widen the gap in educational access and equity for all students. Think about that for a moment. In other words, rather than try to shift funds into low-income parents' hands because they got a slug of dough from Washington, just as all school districts have, rather than do that, they said that no one could escape their failed model. Fairfax parents were obviously upset, but Fairfax County continued down this path. While schools in all sorts of parts of the country opened in the fall of 2020, they remained closed there, and the district sent out bus drivers on phantom routes. So I know of stories here in this state, and you do as well, of heroic efforts to try to get broadband using school buses to get into communities so people could download the work, or to be able to provide free lunches for families that were really struggling economically. But Fairfax County Public Schools had this great idea. Let our drivers drive around on the old routes in empty buses, picking up no one and delivering nothing to justify the continuation of them being on the payroll. Now, if we can't win this argument now, with school districts acting that way, now not all school districts did, obviously, but all across this country there are examples like this. This is our time to act, to be able to move to a parent-centered system where parents are respected again. I don't know about you, but, and look, I'm out of politics. I don't want to sound partisan at all, but I don't think it's partisan to suggest that teachers' unions weren't a big fan of acting, taking a bias towards action. When Randy Weingarten was on television over and over again with this tortured kind of pretzel-like approach of saying, well, we want all the schools to open, but we really can't do it because it's the safety issue. Over and over again doing that, pressuring the Biden administration and others to be able to basically freeze. Students lost tremendous amounts of, and they sued school districts when they did open. Students lost a lot of momentum, and that won't be recovered overnight. There will be studies over the next 5 years that will suggest that kids with learning disabilities, kids living near or at the poverty level, will have had learning losses that all of us will have to deal with to remediate those challenges. Okay, that's the depressing news. We've also come to witness remarkable achievements by extraordinary people who rose to the great challenge of our times. They had a big-time bias towards action. We witnessed thousands upon thousands of parents and teachers taking action by hosting micro schools and learning pods in their homes. Out-of-system innovation wasn't exclusively found in the affluent neighborhoods or in white middle-class families, as was ascribed to a lot of the pundits covering this. A few examples of the opposite would be the Greenbrier Pod, located just outside of Charlottesville, Virginia, which offers scholarships to low-income and refugee kids to participate. And in Roseburg, Oregon, there's a micro school for homeschooled foster kids, which, by the way, the number of foster care kids and the number of children that were abandoned and abused during this time is at record levels. And I think we have a duty to make sure that they are at the top of the list to be able to provide education outcomes that are different by giving their parents and their foster parents more choices. Bernita Bradley of Detroit, Michigan, created Engage Detroit, a homeschool network that supports and trains and empowers parents to ensure their children are receiving a quality education. Teachers McCalla Streeter and Cabral Muhammad responded to the pandemic by launching Zucchini's Homeschool Co-op to provide younger learners an opportunity for in-person instruction. Thank God that they didn't call it broccoli in home. We've witnessed families taking action by choosing education options that didn't shut down. Charter school enrollment rose 7%, and the number of homeschool students doubled during this period. Homeschooling among black students grew from 3% of all homeschoolers to 16%. You are here because you believe student success is the key to a purposeful life. I appreciate that. But you know what? After being actively involved in education reform for, sadly, because I'm a little bit older these days, more than 30 years, I'm worried I haven't done enough. I'm worried that we haven't done enough. I am frustrated that the pandemic demonstrated that far too many children lack affordable, high-speed broadband and devices to enhance their learning. I am angry that states continue to treat children as widgets or as commodities that can be zoned and assigned as though a quality school is a protected resource. I'm upset that we've become numb to NAEP scores that tell us too many kids can't read, too many kids can't resolve math problems, and U.S. history can be recreated by one's personal opinion rather than the honest exposition of the facts. It pains me to see elites advocate no accountability and low expectations because of the belief that our society is rigged for students of color and students whose families are low income. If they have their way, if they win that intellectual battle, the future for so many young people will be very, very bleak. As a nation, I'm concerned we're too easily distracted by what divides us, rather than value what unites us and to unite around the singular goal to do everything we can to ensure each and every child in America has access to quality education and has the opportunity to reach their God-given potential. But, of all my worries, I'm lifted up a lot by seeing so many people in this room that are committed and are encouraged by the changes that are taking place little by little all across this country. I invite you to challenge yourselves, challenge your reach, challenge your goals, and challenge your mindset. Let's continue to have a bias towards meaningful action. In my mind, any action plan must start with a parent bill of rights. So here goes mine. You guys can add and delete all you want, but I hope you embrace this idea when you go back to legislating and governing in your state capitals. Parents have the right to choose the school that best meets the needs of their child. Parents have the right to choose courses that best meet the needs of their child. Parents have a right to their child's data, including test scores with suggestions on how they can be part of the learning experience to deal with remediation or push their child towards excellence. Parents should know how well their child is doing, how well their child's school is doing, and how much money is being spent in each school. Parents have the right to access affordable, high-speed broadband in their home to enhance their child's education. Parents have the right to overcome redlining to send their child to a higher performing school if the one in which they're assigned is mediocre. Parents have the right to have funding follow their child based on their child's needs, not on the system's needs. Parents have the right for meaningful interventions if their child struggles with reading early on. I believe we should end social promotion altogether. Parents have the right for their child to access acceleration opportunities like AP and IB and Cambridge and dual enrollment, industry credentials and courses, and work opportunities. Parents have the right for their child to graduate early from high school. Parents have the right to see their child be college and/or career ready when they graduate from high school. And parents have the right to a teacher who is teaching in field. Can you imagine if we had this deep and exciting agenda for policymakers all across this country, how quickly we would see rising student achievement? It seems to me that that's a worthy aspirational goal. Last year, our foundation set 5 big, hairy, audacious goals, we call them BHAGs in the Excel and Ed world, to impact 5 million students by bridging the digital divide, closing learning gaps, empowering families with opportunity, strengthening pathways to college and career, and reimagining learning. Last year alone, due to everyone's efforts in this room, millions of children will be eligible to attend a traditional public school, charter school, virtual school, or private school of their parents' choice. Millions more. 8 states strengthened their early literacy policies. 4 states expanded flexibility for schools for innovation. And right here in Florida, as Speaker Sprouse mentioned, leaders enacted the largest expansion and improvement of public education in 2 decades. We need to reimagine education. Look at it through the lens of the family. Think of how to unbundle, rebundle, and personalize a student's learning experience. It requires the private school crowd, the charter school crowd, and the public school crowd to tear down silos that limit a child's experience as though it should only live in one system. The future we envision requires us to think big, to be bold, and to never, ever relent. That's how we put students and families first in everything we do. To me, that is the future of education, and it's why I'm excited that we're gathered here today to reinvigorate our efforts to make our dreams come true. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the conference.